The universe, this huge, incredible place that we know started with a Big Bang. But have you ever really stopped to think about how it's all going to end? Today, we're going to travel to the very edge of time, to a future that's almost impossible to imagine.
Right, so we've got a pretty good handle on the beginning. But the end? Well, that's one of the biggest mysteries in all of science. The final chapter of the cosmos hasn't been written yet, and scientists have come up with a few possibilities that are honestly just mind-blowing.
You see, the fate of everything really comes down to this giant cosmic tug of war. On one side, you have gravity, right? The force we all know pulling all the stuff in the universe together. But on the other side, there's this mysterious, powerful force called dark energy, and it's doing the exact opposite. It's pushing everything apart. Whoever wins this fight, well, that decides how the story ends.
Okay, so our first potential ending is without a doubt the most violent one. It's a scenario they call the Big Rip.
So the idea here is that dark energy isn't just pushing, it's actually getting stronger and stronger over time. Some call this hypothetical force phantom energy. If this is what's really happening, the expansion of the universe is just going to keep accelerating until it's so powerful that nothing can stand against it.
And here's where it gets kind of spooky. The timeline for this is chillingly specific. About 60 million years before the end, gravity just gives up. Galaxies like our own Milky Way would come apart. Fast forward to just 3 months before the end, and entire solar systems get torn apart. Then, in the last few moments, the expansion becomes so violent that stars, planets, and even the atoms that make us up are ripped to shreds. Everything just disintegrates.
All right, let's switch gears to a totally different kind of ending. This one isn't a violent tear, it's more of a slow, cold, lonely fade to black. This is the Big Freeze.
Now, this theory imagines that dark energy is more of a constant push. It doesn't get any stronger. The universe just keeps expanding, and as it gets bigger, it gets colder and emptier. Eventually, it reaches a state called heat death, which is a bit misleading. It actually means the opposite of hot. It means all the energy is spread out so evenly that nothing can happen anymore. It's all just still.
So, what you're looking at here is a really, really long goodbye. Over trillions upon trillions of years, every single star will burn out. Then, even the black holes will slowly fizzle away through something called Hawking radiation. In the end, all that's left is a huge, dark, and silent, empty space, with a temperature just a fraction above absolute zero. And based on what we can see today, this is the one most scientists are betting on.
But what if that cosmic tug of war goes the other way? What happens if gravity eventually makes a comeback? Well, that brings us to our third big theory, the Big Crunch.
The Big Crunch is basically the Big Bang played in reverse. In this scenario, the universe's expansion eventually runs out of gas. Dark energy gets weaker, and gravity takes over again. It would stop the expansion and then start pulling everything, every galaxy, every star, back in on itself.
And you can kind of map out a timeline for this. Right now, we're 13.8 billion years into the expansion. Some models say that in maybe another 11 billion years, that expansion could grind to a halt. And after that, it all starts coming back together, faster and faster, until everything collapses back into one super hot, super dense point, just like it was before the Big Bang.
So we've got 3 completely different futures, a rip, a freeze, or a crunch. How do we know which path we're on? Well, it all boils down to understanding the biggest mystery in the entire cosmos.
Just take a look at this. Everything we can see and touch, stars, planets, you, me, that's all in that tiny 5% slice called ordinary matter. The rest is, well, we don't really know. There's dark matter, which has the gravity to hold galaxies together, and then there's the big one for our story. Dark energy, making up a whopping 68% of everything.
And that's it. That's the key. We just don't know what dark energy really is. Is it a constant force? Is it getting stronger? Is it going to fade away? The answer to that question literally determines the fate of reality itself.
So this really sums it all up nicely. If dark energy gets stronger, we get the Big Rip. If it stays constant, which is what our best evidence points to right now, we get the Big Freeze. And if it weakens over time, gravity wins and we're headed for a Big Crunch. Our entire cosmic story is being written by this one force that we're only just starting to understand.
You know, that Big Crunch idea opens up another wild possibility, something people call the Big Bounce. And this quote really captures it. What if the Big Crunch isn't the end, but it just triggers another Big Bang? What if our universe is just one in an endless cycle of collapse and creation? I mean, we could be the 100 billionth universe in that chain. It is a pretty cool thing to think about.
So between a violent destruction, a slow, cold fade into nothing, and a fiery collapse, the biggest question is still out there. What end is waiting for our universe? The honest truth is, we don't know for sure. Not yet. But every single day, scientists are getting a tiny bit closer to finding the answer.